Hi, my name is Emily Gallo. I'm the author of 3 novels, Venice Beach, The Columbarium, and my 3rd novel is Kate and Ruby. They are all available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and on Audible. I'd like to read from Kate and Ruby a section today. I'll tell you a little tiny bit about the story. Kate is the ex-daughter-in-law of Ruby, and they meet after 30 years of basically not knowing each other or speaking to each other in unfortunate circumstances, and it turns out Ruby has to stay with Kate and get better from a heart attack, among other things. Kate grew up in New York City, lived in an apartment, and doesn't know too much about gardening, and they don't have the greatest relationship. But Ruby is going to help Kate garden. That's the section I'd like to read. Ruby, by the way, is from Mississippi. The man at the nursery had given Kate various implements, an assortment of flowers and plants, some bags of fertilizer and mulch. He also gave her advice that probably hadn't stuck with her, but she figured she could read the directions on the bags. And how hard could it be to dig a hole and put a plant in it? She started singing from the Garden Song by Peter, Paul, and Mary. It had been a long time since that song had crept into her consciousness. She dug for about half an hour. She had no idea when she was supposed to stop or how deep the hole should be. Well, she had the shovel, the rake, and the hoe. She had no idea, though, whether or not the ground was fertile. But wasn't that why she had the bag of fertilizer? She stopped digging, threw some fertilizer into the holes, and picked up one of the gallon pots that held pink roses. She stared at it, trying to figure out how to remove the plant from the pot. She pulled tentatively on the stem and leaves. Ouch! She'd forgotten about the thorns. She found a spot on the stem between the thorns and pulled again. It seemed to give slightly. She pulled a little harder, and eventually the plant came out, but most of the roots and soil were still left in the pot. She dumped the leftover soil and emptied the fertilizer into the hole and put in the plant. Before she finished patting down the soil, she heard the loud, insistent ringing of a bell. At first, she looked to her neighbor's yard to discover where it was coming from. Then she remembered that she had given Ruby a bell to ring if she needed anything. The ringing was so forceful and relentless that she dropped the shovel and ran back to the house, afraid that Ruby had fallen again. Kate rushed in the door and through the kitchen without glancing around and ran into Ruby's room. The bed was empty. "Ruby, where are you?" Kate yelled as she ran toward the bathroom. When that room, too, was unoccupied, she ran back into the kitchen and found Ruby next to the window, leaning on her walker. "Are you okay?" Kate asked, slightly out of breath. Ruby stared at her, shaking her head in disbelief. "I've been watching you. You don't know what you're doing out there." "You could be a little more tactful," Kate said, laughing, although she was also a little irritated. "You need help." "How are you going to help me? You can barely move." "I'll just tell you what to do." "Okay, what?" "Help me outside." Kate took Ruby's arm with one hand, and together they walked slowly out to the yard. Kate grabbed a lounge chair and brought it to the area where she had been digging. She helped Ruby into the chair and stood with her hands on her hips, waiting for instructions. "So, what am I doing wrong?" "You killed that rose plant before you even put it in the ground," Ruby snarled. "What do you mean?" Kate asked. "The way you got it out. You don't just pull a plant out of a pot. Didn't you notice the roots left in the dirt?" "Well, yeah, but how do you get it out then?" "Get me that cane the hospital sent me home with." Kate went inside and came back with the cane. "You're going to dig it out with your cane?" Ruby shook her head in disgust. "Get another plant. Maybe that purple zinnia." Kate looked over at the lineup of pots. There were 2 different plants with purple flowers. "Which one is a zinnia?" Don't you know anything, girl? You ain't got the good sense God gave a rock. Kate sighed and went to the 2 pots. She pulled out the plant label stakes and found the one that said Zinnia. She picked up the pot and placed it on the ground next to Ruby. Here. Now what? Lay the pot on its side. Kate did that and looked back at Ruby. Okay. Now, hand me my cane. Huh? Just do what I tell you. Kate handed Ruby her cane, and Ruby stood up and leaned heavily on her walker. She then lifted her foot and stepped gently down on the side of the pot. She used her cane to roll the pot and then stepped on it again. After that, she tapped the bottom of the pot with her cane. Why are you doing that? Kate asked. Loosens the dirt. Now, pull the plant out of the pot gently. Kate started to turn the pot right side up. No, while it's on its side. Kate sighed and did what she was told. The zinnia came out easily, its roots intact and still in a mound of soil. Ah, I see now. But you can't plant it here because there isn't enough sun. Go over to that hole you dug over there. Ruby points to the end of the row of holes Kate had dug. Kate took the plant and went to the hole. What'd you do to get the soil ready? Ruby called out to her. I thought you'd just dig a hole and put the plant in. Don't you know anything? Kate's eyes blazed and she glared at Ruby. I grew up in New York City. We didn't have a garden or a yard. Ruby tried to get out of the chair and Kate dropped the plant and rushed back to Ruby. What are you doing? You can't get out of that chair by yourself. I'm not an invalid. Ruby struggled and managed to get out of the chair, but Kate took her arm and helped her walk to the hole. Give me a handful of that soil. Kate took a clump of soil and put it in Ruby's outstretched hand. Ruby squeezed it into a ball. What are you doing? Kate asked. It's not friable. Too much clay. You need to add compost to break it up. Did you buy some? Kate went to her pile of nursery purchases and brought back a bag of mulch. I thought I was supposed to put this on top after I plant it. Yes, that's what mulch is for. But why didn't they sell you compost? I don't know. I didn't ask for it. Oh, dear Lord. I guess you can use mulch as compost, but you'll have to really mix it into the soil. Kate started to pour the mulch into the dirt. Not like that. Let me do it. Why can't I do it? Kate asked. Because you're doing it all wrong. Bring me that damn fool chair. What chair? The lounge chair? No, that wheelchair they gave you at the hospital. Kate went inside and came back with a folded wheelchair. Set it down right here. Kate opened it and placed it next to the hole. Ruby sunk into the chair slowly. She shook her head and mumbled, You're as useful as a back pocket on a shirt. Thanks very much. You can find all of my videos on my YouTube channel. I hope you'll subscribe to it. And I'm also on Facebook and Twitter.